Hi, terrific to have your company. In magnificent weather conditions, we welcome you to this week's New South Wales Rugby League program. And under clear blue skies, we welcome you to one of the great traditional rugby league venues in Sydney. I refer to Henson Park. It's round 8 and the New South Wales Cup continues. And on this occasion, you're going to see highlights in the game between the Newtown Jets and the visiting Central Newcastle Knights. Let's check out the competition ladder at the completion of 7 rounds. And you can see that North Sydney lead the way on 14 points in advance of Manly on 11, Wentworthville on 10, then Newtown, Auckland, the Central Coast, and Newcastle and Western Suburbs rounding out the top 8. Unlike the Jim Beam Cup, which operates on a top 5 scenario, the New South Wales Cup is the McIntyre top 8 system. Now look at the starting sides doing battle here this afternoon at Henson Park. For Newtown, the fullback is Lassini. The wingers are Ford and Falau. The centres Hopawate and Pritchard. The halves are Brannigan and Millwood. In the front row, it's Meredith and Deeb. The hooker is Gordon. The back row, Paya, Rudder and Anderson. On the bench is Majali, Costigan, Green and Kale. And the coach for the Newtown side is Greg Madison. And now for the visiting Central Newcastle Knights. At fullback it's Jenkinson. On one wing is Uarte. On the other is Fevel Eli. The centres are McDougall and Nguama. Then the halves Brown and Walsh. The front row Taya and Sargent. The hooker is Laban. The back row is Lyon and Talfa. Young is the lock forward. Then on the bench it's Asa, Timona, Tupou and Owen. And the coach of the Central Newcastle Knights is Rick Stone. Once again, welcome to our coverage. A fantastic game in prospect this afternoon. And right now on the program, it's time to hear from Ian Trent. He's standing by with the two skippers. Ian.
Good afternoon, David. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, benign conditions here at Henson Park. Not a breath of wind, but I tell you what, it's going to be nice and warm for both teams. The Knights down from Central Newcastle in against the hometown Newtown Jets. Joining me now is the captain of the visiting Knights, Michael Young. Michael, welcome to Sydney. The boys, a little bit of a hot and cold start to the season. 3 and 4 mid-table. You happy with that?
No, a bit disappointing. Probably more disappointing on the way we've played away from Energy Australia Stadium this year. We've won 3 from 4 at home, but 0 from 3 away, and we've been pretty disappointing.
And the Jets aligned with the Easts, or the Roosters. They get a lot of very good footballers coming through their ranks from week to week. They're a good lineup.
Yeah, no, they've probably got the most full-time squad members in the New South Wales Cup team, so they're always going to be a very strong and competitive team, and we know we're going to have to be very strong today just to keep with them.
Well, welcome to Sydney and good luck for today.
Thank you.
Well, Jimmy, it's great to have TV back here at Henson Park. In against Central Newcastle, they're a little bit hot and cold, but a team from Newcastle can never be taken for granted.
No, that's right, mate. They're we've watched a bit of video on them. They've been a bit up and down this year, but with the players they get back from first grade, big blokes like Mitchell Sargent and Luke Walsh leading them around there, they're always going to be a pretty solid team.
Now, Newtown aligned with the Roosters, you get a decent share of good players yourself.
Yeah, mate, we get a few of the boys back in that, but they just mend in. They just come in on a Thursday and we sort of all blend in and we're all good mates, so there's no real difference there. They just feel like Newtown boys.
And the team's flying high at the moment.
Yeah, mate, we've got a bit of confidence after last week, but we know that, it's a footy game, anything can happen, so we just sort of every week just try and minimal our stakes and hold the ball.
Good luck, have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers.
So Newtown entered this match today in pretty good form. You saw the competition ladder at the start of our program. They're striving for win number 5 of 2008, and there's no reason why they won't do that here at home at Henson Park. Now the Knights take the field. Peter Mulholland beside me.
Yes, David, good afternoon, and isn't it great to be back to a traditional ground of rugby league at Henson Park? Two very good sides here today too, with a couple of those Newcastle players waiting to prove a point. Luke McDougall, as Dave, is back from injury. Mitchell Sargent, an off-season recruit that's come into the side, so I'm expecting a very, very good, tight match here this afternoon.
Plenty of first-grade experience in both sides. In this first half, the Knights of Newcastle, the Central Newcastle Knights, will run left to right on your screen in the dark shorts. Both sides are wearing a predominantly dark blue strip, which might make it a little hard to identify some of them when there's plenty of bodies and arms and legs in the way, but that is Carla Deeb that takes the first hit up of the match for the Newtown side. He is a former Jim Beam Cup player, and in fact there are several players running around today that have graduated from the Jim Beam Cup. As you look quickly at the Newcastle bench, and early in this contest the Knights want to be up there quickly and trying to demonstrate the enthusiasm required to match it with Newtown at home. Their record here this year so far has been terrific. The fullback, Lassini, played it back to Gordon. Now Deeb, his second hit up of the match, and he's tackled 5 into the Knights side of halfway. He was tackled by Hanan Laban for the Knights. Now they come to the open side to Luke Millwood, and he shoots for the eastern touchline. It's a good kick too. Might go in touch in goal. It does. Jacob Jenkinson was racing across, and now they restart on the 20, Peter.
Great set of 6 then from Newtown with a little offload there that created havoc with the Newcastle defence. Luke Millwood, another graduate from the Jim Beam Cup side from Newtown last year. Great little play, and that was a tremendous left foot kick that he put into that corner.
This is Jacob Lynn for Newcastle. Got a good offload, and he's a workaholic as well. And obviously the penalty coming to the Newcastle Knights. Our referee's audio will be a little bit indifferent today because of the amount of air traffic activity and communications devices in use in this area, with the jets overhead as well. Everyone that comes here to do television at Henson Park, even if it's just the tape for the judiciary, struggles to pick up the referee's audio, and I'm not joking. So we're not going to hear too much from the mouth of Chris Sutton on today's telecast, sadly. Here's Ling again down the short side, down towards that eastern side of Henson Park. At acting half is Michael Young, who was named with 13 on his back, but appears as though he'll be spending the majority of this game at hooker or acting half. This is Luke McDougall, just his second game back after a long layoff as a result of a quadricep injury. Hasn't played much footy at all, McDougall, over the last couple of years. Knights racing onto the ball with gusto here. Newtown defence good. Young, he operates on the short side, goes for a burst himself, and he's wrapped up about 5 metres out from the Newtown line by Luke Brannigan. Now they swing it to the left, and Walsh, a kick up into the southeastern corner, flying high. The Newtown winger, that is Falau, younger brother of Israel. It was a good take, Pete.
Great take, and by gee, he's a big boy too. That'll be a very good clash, that right wing and left wing combination. The Newcastle player too, Uati, absolutely an outstanding athlete, a champion athlete actually, and Newcastle have got high hopes of him making into the NRL in this next season.
Toyota Falau flying high in the previous ruck. He looks a lot like Israel. Also running around Albert Hopawate for Newtown, looks plenty like John. Ian, I know, will bring us right up to date on the brothers in arms in action here today, and his first cross this afternoon from the sideline. No score after 3.5. Beautiful weather conditions, no breeze to speak of, as Steve Meredith gets to his feet and plays it from Gordon. Khalid Deeb, he's done a lot of work for Newtown in the hit-up department. Didn't get that far on that occasion. The Knights defence up quickly, led by Luke Walsh. Here's Gordon out of dummy half. A gain of about 7 metres. 3 players involved in the tackle, including Mitchell Sargent and Halan Laban. Now across they come. A high kick. There's some pressure here. And well taken by Jacob Jenkinson under loads of pressure.
Good chase on that kick too, wasn't it, from the Newtown side? But Jenkinson took it quite easily in the end and did a great job in diffusing it. A lot of enthusiasm from Newcastle, from the Newtown side at this stage, all based around the halfback and hooker combination of Luke Gordon and Luke Millwood. They'll be very dangerous up again against a very, very good half in Luke Walsh.
Uate to his feet. Now they go down the short side. In possession is Hanan Laban. About 6 metres in from the eastern touchline. Walsh off to Mitchell Sargent. He ran strongly. Took it about 6 metres before being felled by the Newtown defence. Midfield bomb by Luke Walsh. Just into Newtown territory. And well taken by the winger Byron Ford. And the Knights up sharply in defence. Now it's Albert Hopawate. Goes for a run out of acting half. Tackled by Michael Young, Mitchell Sargent, and also the 12 Mark Tafua. Plenty of names to get the tongue around today.
I'm glad it's you too.
Mickey Payer now, 5 metres into Newcastle territory. Nice to have your company on the New South Wales Rugby League show. And this clash in the VB New South Wales Cup at Henson Park. Now Gordon, he'll swing it to the open. And this is Millwood. Had his jaw badly broken a couple of seasons ago in a semi-final of the Jim Beam Cup at Leichhardt Oval. Oh, soft try coming up for Newtown. The man is Steve Meredith. Massive confusion at the back by Newcastle off the back of the Millwood kick. We'll take a look at it with Peter Mulholland, but that was far too easy. Meredith will never get an easier one.
I'm not sure what happened there, whether it was miscommunication. We can see here on the kick now another towering bomb. These two little halfbacks, they're diminutive in size, but gee, they got a boot on them. Luke Millwood there with a high left footer. I'm just not 100% sure, with the sun's in the eyes. Jenkinson just absolutely missed it point blank, stepped away from it in fact, and Stevie Meredith, a bit of a journeyman himself, Steve Meredith, there to pick it up, to move through and to better his position. It couldn't come an easier try for the big prop forward. I think he was more surprised than the Newcastle defence.
Well, Jenkinson and the other Knights player in close proximity to him didn't even really put a hand out. It got lost, as you say. So here's Millwood from right in front. About 11 metres out between the uprights. It's Sales, 6-0. 9 1/4 gone here at Henson Park. And Sutton taking his time in packing this scrum in front of a reasonable crowd at Henson Park. It's amazing how many people pack in here. Oh, from the base of the scrum, here's another try to Newtown. It's Mickey Payer. He got the ball from the lock forward, James Anderson, and raced unopposed to the line.
I'll tell you what, you're not going to be happy about that. Just a straight out regulation play. Second rower there was just late to break from the Newcastle side. Simple little play there from the lock forward, James Anderson, back inside to Mickey Payer. Simple try.
Couple of soft ones thus far. So Millwood will attempt to get the extras. Struck it well, and coming around 12-0 here at Henson Park. It's all the Jets. Luke Walsh to get us back underway. One of the great things about this venue, after the game, they actually encourage the kids to swarm onto the ground. Doesn't it remind us all of the good old days of what football was about in Sydney?
It is. I love the cars inside blowing horns, and you can sit in the car in the wet. It's not a problem. But again, the ground's actually come up remarkably well. It's a ground that gets well used, and at this stage of the year, it's going pretty well.
There's probably a crowd not too far short of 3,000 here this afternoon at Henson in beautiful conditions. Newtown, the recipient of a penalty from Sutton. And Millwood shooting to the eastern touchline. Players waiting patiently to be thrust into the action. A top 8 scenario applying to the New South Wales Cup in 2008, unlike the Jim Beam Cup, which operates on a top 5. Here's James Anderson for Newtown. He's tackled just into Knights territory. Now from Gordon. They work it further upfield. And Newcastle can ill afford to allow the Jets another 4-pointer. After just 13 minutes of play in this game, it's looking a bit ominous for the Knights. A couple of chronic defensive lapses and an uncontested bomb. Great kick by Brannigan into the corner. Jenkinson getting across. The chase from Byron Ford was good. Back to the 20 we come.
Yes, it's been all Newtown. They've controlled the ball well. A little bit unlucky that kick's gone back to the 20. He's gone out the back door, but certainly their kicking game, the enthusiasm of their defence is giving them a lot of field possession at the moment.
Ben Taylor in 15 for Newcastle. Young, short side to Jacob Ling. He's been impressive for the Knights so far. He'll be looking to get that right hand offload away as the game progresses. Mitchell Sargent. Well, you'd think he'd wanted to be aiming right up for a blinder so he can force his way back into first grade. Plays it. Young, Walsh. Walsh had a fantastic game against Western Suburbs at Energy Australia Stadium in that close game last weekend in the New South Wales Cup. Nice inside ball from Walsh. Unfortunately, it comes back to Newtown, however. And the Jets back in possession through Mickey Payer, who'll be tackled a couple of metres on his own side of halfway.
Yeah, the unfortunate ball there. I think the recipient wasn't watching the pass that actually was thrown to him by Luke Walsh. Again, trying to just probe back on the middle and just check that inside defence of the Newtown pack.
Now Meredith, the try scorer, popped the ball to Millwood, who was converged upon quickly. 2 Knights driving in. Carla Deeb now gets the big legs pumping. He was tackled by the infinitely smaller Joel Brown. Did a nice job to stop the big man. Mitchell Sargent helping the cause. Now Sean Rudder There's a name that we've heard plenty of in the past. Open side they come. This is the 6, Luke Brannigan, stepping off his left. He was running hard. Wrapped up quickly by Michael Young, however. Now Millwood wants it. He's got a grubbing kick that goes wrong, although he gets it back again. Referee Sutton signifies 6 more tackles. If Newtown are patient, another great chance for them here.
That's all it is now. It's just controlling themselves here and just making sure they work for this try rather than to just to haphazardly be throwing the ball around. I think they're in the right end of the field to be doing that, and I think they've got the right combinations with Luke Millwood and Luke Brannigan.
Brannigan again calls Meredith back on his inside. He's hit by a wall of Newcastle Knights players. Still struggling, tries to break free. That shot shows you how close he is. A metre out. What have the Jets got for the Knights? Through the hands they go from Millwood, the fullback Lassini. This will be a try to Toyota Falau on the far side of the field. And Newtown extends the lead. 16 points to 0 with the kick to come after almost 16 minutes of play.
That's that repeat set from Luke Millwood's little kick that was played at by the Newcastle player. Again, Millwood's gone to second receiver here. Defence has moved in there. Probably should have stayed out wide, the number 5 there in being for Velielli. And all of a sudden, the overlap is created, and you've got the try again. That's an ominous sign too with the Falau boy.
Will it be 18-0? We'll find out. He strikes it from out wide across the face of goal. 16-0. It's a handy lead. Now the scrum to pack. Let's go down to Ian Trent on the sideline.
Well, boys, we've got brothers of famous brothers coming out of our ears in this game. In the Central Newcastle team, Luke McDougall, of course, is the brother of Adam, the former international winger and centre, now injured. Kevin Nagama, he's the brother of Knights first grade centre Wes, and on the bench John Tupu is the brother of international lock Anthony, who's headed of course to the Sharks next season. Over at Newtown, winger Tavita Falau, who just scored, he's the brother of boom Australian winger Israel, and centre Albert Hopawate, yep, he's the brother of the former Manly winger and now boxer Big John. Henson Park, Tabby, it's the venue for brotherly love this afternoon.
Thank you, Ian. Newcastle with it all to do at this stage of proceedings. They trail 16-0. There's a great take at the back by Lassini for the Newtown Jets. They've had the bounce of the ball. Bit of luck so far, but to some extent you make your own luck, and now they get a penalty. It is all going their way right now. Justice Falau was trying to work it out from his own end. This is Ray Mujali in jumper 14 now on the field for Newtown. Obviously the Jets working closely with the powerful Roosters club, and it's not doing them any harm. Here's Hopawate, looks plenty like John, and a bullocking run gets him up just over the halfway line.
Yeah, that's what you said, David's right. You've got to be able to put pressure on, and a piggyback penalty out of there with a good kick on the line from Luke Walsh has just given Newtown the ascendancy in the field position again.
Gordon had a very busy first half for Newtown. He is a handful around the ruck. Good tackle by Tafua to grass him in the end. Now Millwood, he aims that kick towards the eastern side of the field. It's hanging up there. There's a lovely take over on the far side of the field by Uate. And that was something a bit special. He got right up above the pack and used his reach. Jenkinson now tackled.
Both wingers are impressive, aren't they? Falau and Uate, very, very impressed with both of those kids. I think this is going to come down to the fact that Newcastle really need in these next few minutes before half-time, this next 10 or 15 minutes, to just control their game, to get some field position and keep going at Newtown. But at this stage, they're their own worst enemy. They're just not putting enough pressure on them.
Bentaya tackled on the halfway line from Young to Luke Walsh. Walsh is getting his hand on the football enough, but what they need is better field position in order for him to orchestrate some plays, some compelling plays to get them on the board. As I say, he was in great touch last weekend against Western Suburbs. So the handover of possession sees Newtown 9 on their own side of halfway. So Sean Rudder to play it now. This is Reece Pritchard playing centre on the right side of the field, driven back by Fatoa Asa in jumper number 14. and Mark Tafua. Now to the open side come the Jets. And there's plenty of aerial traffic overhead today here at Henson Park, as is always the case. So looking to be another good set by the Jets as they work towards the Newcastle posts, attempting to build more pressure. Ray Majali, that's a good run. 15 metres with 3 of them on his back. Good field position for Newtown once more. They'll be looking for Millwood. No, they go the other side to Brannigan. Grubbing kick. Jenkinson is there and has managed to save the day.
There's a great little kick again from Luke Brannigan. Took his time with it and put the pressure on. You can see it here now. Just got in behind the line. Dummy half's taken a couple of steps out there, and he's just beautiful little left footer in behind the line. And another very good chase on the end of it from the Newtown side. Jacobson did well then with a tricky bounce to put it dead. More pressure again mounting for the Newcastle side here, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on this set of 6.
With Brannigan playing on the left side of the ruck and Millwood the right, they've certainly got some options. Come tackle 5, the Jets. And I'm sure that Newcastle would be well aware of that. They need to get off their line quicker. Here's Meredith. Scored the first try of the day. Almost half an hour old this game. Now it's Rory Costigan in playing acting half for Newtown in jumper 15. Turnover of possession there. Sees the Knights having an opportunity with the football. And it's been a while.
Yeah, they've still got to come off their own line here. It's going to be very interesting. Roll their sleeves up and make sure they get a good kick at the end of this. Put some pressure back on Newtown.
Hannon Laban being driven back was able to keep the ball alive. Some second phase play by the Knights. They face a big challenge this afternoon, given the way they've started this game. They've certainly got the strike power in the side to score the points. All about converting them when they have good field position. Now wide out is Nguama. Kevin playing on the right flank. Was named in the side at centre, wearing jumper number 19. Here's Joel Brown at acting half. He's a player that needs the ball in his hands more, Pete.
He is a good little player, Joel Brown. Riley Brown's little brother. It's going to be very interesting to see where he ends up. But again, they just haven't had field position for these two halves to dominate.
Gee, that was a great tackle by Falau to snuff out that movement earlier. A changeover. So game getting a little bit scrappy just the last 5 minutes. We've seen some cheap turnovers. And Newtown with the football deep in their own half. About 22 out from their own line in centre field as Lassini goes to dummy half. Lassini's a player with talent too. He's elusive in broken play. The Jets fullback. Now from Costigan. Here's Meredith. Turns and passes back to Costigan. So the Jets creating some second phase of their own. Millwood out this time to Rada, back slammed. There's a big tackle. Walsh and also the 16, Hannon Laban. You'll know he's been in a game.
Smallest player on the park upended him too, and Luke Walsh. Two Newcastle boys at each other.
Costigan has a crack for Lyon out of dummy half. Jenkinson's got it covered. I don't think it was the kick he was looking for. The Jets up with a good kick chase. Kevin Nguama now. He's a handful. 8 metre gain. Met by Daniel Green in 16 for the Jets along with Costigan. Now Uarte. He's a handful too. As is demonstrated there. Got away from 2 of them. Gained another 7 metres. The tackler was Anderson. 16-0 as we approach the 30th minute mark of this game. Central Newcastle Knights approaching this round 8 clash, having won 3 games so far in 2008. Now Walsh, the kick which bounces sweetly for Falau, and back comes the brother of Israel.
Yeah, he looks like him too, doesn't he? I mean, it's the same build, it's the same loping run. Just wonder if he's going to get to those levels of his brother.
Gee whiz. There's Lassini tackled, and now Byron Ford. How would you like to be Israel Falau's younger brother trying to make it in the game? That's a tough project. Now it's Reece Pritchard. He's tackled right on the halfway stripe by Mitchell Sargent and 2 others, including John Tupou, who's now on the field for the Knights in jumper 18.
It's Just one of the few handling errors from the Newtown side too. I was just saying then, or thinking then, that they've got a really well drilled, well controlled side, Newtown. Greg Madison's done a great job with them.
John Tupou in 18, got away from Lucini, had the centre hanging on to him, Pritchard, but still popped the ball, as you could see. Michael Young, got to be the tallest dummy half in the game of rugby league, and got more than enough hair to share around if he wishes. Here's Fatoa Asa in jumper number 14 now for the Knights. So they work themselves into a decent attacking position. Walsh, across he comes now to Timona. Tackled easily by James Anderson and also Ray Majali. Open side they swing it. Mitchell Sargent now onto the chest of the 5'8", Joel Brown. And he was tackled quickly by Sean Rudder. Michael Young towards the line, dreadful kick. Comes up for Newtown easily. It'll be played by Mickey Paya. No, in fact, it wasn't. It was Ray Majali, I'm sorry.
And there we go, compound again. A lousy return. It was just an ordinary mistake that they made with that kick and then a penalty at the end of it. It's just compounding error. Takes the pressure again right off Newtown. That was an opportunity then to get a repeat set of 6. And all it's done is give them a piggyback of 30 metres.
On next week's New South Wales Rugby League program, you'll see highlights of the New South Wales Cup match being played this weekend at North Sydney Oval between the Bears and also the Central Coast Storm. That comes your way next Wednesday afternoon on Fox Sports. Now Costigan away. Good played, Albert Hopawate. Newcastle defence there quickly, however. Kevin Nguama, one of the tacklers. Brannigan turns his man back on the inside. Striding upfield is Daniel Green. Newtown looking good with the weight of possession. Now Brannigan kicks towards the upright. Great take by Jenkinson, who was on the fly. Okay, let's go down to the sideline. Here is Ian Trent.
Well, boys, we've had only 7 rounds in the New South Wales Cup, but Newtown's for and against record is absolutely outstanding. As you can see, they are a very structured unit. The Jets are third in attack with 208 points for, and first, and that's probably more important, in defence on 91 against, easily leading the points differential with a plus 117 points. Obviously, the link with the powerful Roosters club, it doesn't hurt, but there must be some great coaching going on with Greg Madison and his staff here at Henson Park.
Now it's Toshio Lucini for Newtown. There's a good ball around the corner to Byron Ford. Ford's upfield, he got around Jacob Jenkinson easily. He's got Luke Brannigan in support. Now Luke McDougall in pursuit, but Brannigan's going to get there. Well, that's an 80-metre effort by the Newtown Jets. McDougall was closing fast, but the line was too close. Another try, the Jets.
That's a great length of the field try there too. Lucini does a great job here. Down the side, comes down that left flank, the Newtown's left flank. Defensive line there seems solid, seems very, but gets a wonderful ball around the corner here to leave his winger open. Straight down that sideline there. The defence is converging. Does very well to come back inside. The fullback Jacobson does a great job there to pull him around and outstrips him there. Luke Brannigan, tremendous in support. Did he have the legs? Luke McDougall there stretching out for him. I reckon another 5 metres, and he's having a good look over his shoulder here now. Not sure what he's saying. Bring that line on, look for the fend. Did a great job there too, Lukey Brannigan, to make that. A good chase too by the number 3, Luke McDougall.
Who is a speed machine in his own right, Luke McDougall. The former Shark, Rabbitoh, Dragon. Luke McDougall, as you can see, the conversion rather from Millwood was unsuccessful. So 20 points to 0, 3 minutes out from the break. And a wrap to Luke Brannigan there, who had the vision to back up and position himself nicely for the pass. Has there been a player that's been more injured than Luke Brannigan? He's been desperately unlucky.
I honestly think he's one of the most talented players that never went on and fulfilled his potential, and not because of anything else but injury. I mean, he was a schoolboy prodigy, wasn't he, really? And all the way through, but it's just injury has just plagued him the whole way, and it's just unfortunate. But I like what he does here, because what he is doing is putting something back into this level of rugby league, and players around him are going to improve by him being on that field. Oh,
and by all means, he's not given up on NRL glory either.
No, he hasn't.
He's positioned himself at Newtown, hoping that the Roosters notice him. But he's had knee reconstructions aplenty. He had a pectoral injury last year that kept him out for the majority of the season. That's when he was with Cabramatta in the Jim Beam Cup. Oh, here he is again, Luke Brannigan. He's away, got a fortuitous bounce. Try number 2 coming up for the Jets 6. We talk about him, and he responds with another great play.
Tell you, I think he's more surprised than Steve Meredith was with that other kick. Luke Millwood again with that little chip over the top, little left footer here on that last tackle, not expected. You watch this, absolutely picture perfect, that little chip over the top. Brannigan again, a wonderful job backing up on the inside, read the kick to perfection, got what was called a perfect bounce, and has showed a clean pair of heels again to score his second try in, probably 2 minutes, Tappy.
Fit as I've seen him for a long time too. Obviously had a good off-season with the Roosters. And plants it down for his second 4-pointer of the afternoon. He'll be loving this, Brannigan. Millwood 2 from 4 thus far. Right in front to make it 26-0 at the break. And for Newcastle, that is embarrassing. Straight between the uprights it goes. 26 blot. All Newcastle can do is forget about the first half and start all over.
Yeah, Rick Stone's got a lot of work to do at half-time, but I think they all know what they've done wrong. It's controlling the football, getting field position and putting some pressure onto that Newtown defensive line.
Let's check the half-time score summary here at Henson Park. 26-0. It is all the Jets at this stage. Meredith a try, Paya, Falau, Brannigan 2, Millwood 3 from 5 with the boot. And the Central Newcastle Knights are yet to come up with a solitary point. Can they come back in the second half? We will find out shortly when we come back to Henson Park in a moment.
Guys, business as usual down here at the Henson. We've got the bottle shop open. We've got draft beer jars, takeaway, cocktails, takeaway, hot food from the kitchen, slushies, ice creams, you name it. So come on down to Markville, support the local businesses and help keep the Jets flag flying. It's the team that takes the field. It's the team that will not yield. Bluebacks in the crowd, they're roaring, flashing, dashing, blues are scoring. Newtown is coming. Here's the Bluebacks humming. Newtown, Newtown.
Hashtag we are 8972. Hashtag keep the Jets flying. Keep safe, Bluebags. We can't wait to see you on the other side.
You're watching the New South Wales Rugby League show on Fox Sports. Welcome back to Henson Park. In the first 40 minutes, it was Newtown scoring 26 points to 0. This was the first try going to front rower Steve Meredith.
Yeah, again, a little bit of a mix-up. We wasn't quite sure what Jacobson was doing here. Second try, 2 to the inside to Mickey Paya. Simple, conventional run try from the base of a scrum. Again, Luke Millwood here at second receiver. Conventional backline movement, just didn't have the numbers from the Newcastle defence there on the spot. Luke Brannigan's first of his 2 tries, David, supporting what was a wonderful break down the sideline by Lassini. Great ball around the corner. And here's this marvellous little chip from Lukey Millwood. Luke Brannigan on the spot for his second try within 30 seconds, basically, from the kickoff.
And that's how they lead 26-0 here. Newcastle, I'm sure, have copped a verbal from the coach of the break, and they'll be coming out trying to start this match all over. So if you've just joined our coverage in the second half, Newtown to run left to right on your screen in the white shorts. And Millwood gets us underway. Be interesting to see how Newtown approach this. Do they close up shop? You'd think not. You'd think they'd want to go on with it and really embarrass the visitors here today.
Well, I think the Knights have got enough experience in there with Mitchell Sargent and crew to take them on. They know what they've got to do. It's just ball security, ball control and field position that's just caused them.
Yeah, we just saw Mitchell Sargent taking a hit up for the Central Newcastle Knights. On this occasion, the visitors, 10 on their own side of halfway. Young offloads the ball to the man in 16, Hannon Laban, as he prepares to play it. We will go downstairs to Ian Trent, who has a member of the Newtown coaching staff with him.
Well, Mick, 26-0 at half-time up. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, Ian, we're working really hard. We've been trying to win the wrestle on the ground, also push forward and just feel position, and also just completing our sets of 16. Yeah, very pleased with the way the boys are playing at the moment.
I suppose the big challenge now is keeping the boys interested and keeping them to their set structure.
Yeah, that's what we spoke about. Greg Matheson, the coach, spoke to him at half-time and just said to him, got to keep our minds on the job, keep pushing forward. Let's all just work for each other and let's win the battle on the ground, and let's put some points on these guys.
Thanks for your time. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks again, Ian. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Down on the sideline, Newtown receiving a penalty from the whistle of Chris Sutton. So back underway with Ray Majali. He gallops 10 upfield, tackled by Michael Young and a couple of others, including John Tupou. Now Millwood, and he fends the ball off to, I think it was Costigan, and he gets up to play it. In fact, it wasn't. It was James Anderson, I'm sorry. Now from Luke Brannigan to Albert Hopawate. Tries to get around his man, couldn't do so, into touch. Scrum to pack, Newcastle feed. Swing it wide. Hopawate wouldn't be pleased with himself if he had his time all over again. I'm sure he would have avoided that sideline. That was a good tackle there by Reece Pritchard, we just saw. Oh, here's some good ball movement from the Knights. This time it comes out to Uarte. He is a speed machine. See you, fellas. And plants the ball down. Is this the start of a Newcastle comeback?
We spoke about him early on, Uarte. He is an absolute gem of an athlete. Very, very quick and still learning the game of rugby league. Lovely ball here to Newcastle. Have chanced their hand a little bit here, 30 metres out, and they decided to put a pass on. I'm not quite sure who that was that unloaded, but the ball itself to number 12, yeah, it was Johnny Tupou that unloaded to the number 12 in Mark Tafua. Great ball there. Uarte's positioned himself very, very well shaded. Again, what a wonderful athlete he is, with a clean pair of heels to the line for his first try of the day.
That's an imposing sight. He runs straight towards the camera located down there in full flight. So Luke Walsh will attempt the conversion. You can see the angle he's working with. You can also see a glorious still afternoon in Sydney. Walsh has struck it okay, but hooks it slightly to the left. 26-4. Now Newtown in familiar territory. IE back on the attack. The centre now, Albert Hopawate. Getting across quickly in defence was Michael Young. He's done plenty of defence today. The Newcastle 13 worked very hard. Well, can the Knights keep out a determined Jets side? Another try here will certainly wrap it up for them, you'd think. Mickey Payer now for the Jets. 4 Newcastle defenders. That man, Michael Young, involved once again. They're only 5 metres out. Here come the Jets again. You can see how close it is. That's a try. That is a try to Costigan. And Newtown extend the lead. You'd think the Newcastle heads will go down. We'll see what they're made of anyway, won't we?
You're right there, Tappy. Their heads are down, and that is just poor defence on their own line. Nobody down low enough to stop the Newtown player in scoring that try. He's just gone straight for Costigan, just gone straight low into the ground, scored that try. Poor on-line defence. Rick Stone's going to be pulling his hair out.
Costigan's been really good for the Jets since he came on at a dummy half for Gordon. So Millwood looking for another 2, not that time. So 30-4. That's a big scoreline.
Well, David, Luke Brannigan has been outstanding for the Jets today. A couple of really good tries and a great passing game. Of course, he's the son of the former South Centre Arthur and a nephew of international winger Ray. And you'll recall Luke had huge raps on him when he played with St George. He played with West Tigers. He played with Cronulla. He's played in France. And last year, he played Jim Beam Cup with Cabramatta. But he did his shoulder, and that has been the norm in his career. He's basically been injury-ridden right through it, but he's going great guns now for the Newtown Jets, isn't he? And let's hope he can stay healthy. By the way, there are no injuries to report from either side.
Newtown in possession, thanks Trenty. Gordon fires the pass back, and there's a very big kick downtown, down towards the southern end or Sydenham Road end of Henson Park. And here's the try scorer for Newcastle, Uarte. Good tackle. Came back with some territory to work in. He was wrapped up very quickly. by the 15, Rory Costigan, who, as I said a while ago, is having a fine game for the Jets.
Good player, Rory Costigan, and as you said, Luke Gordon, a great dummy half in his own right. Costigan's added another dimension to the Newtown side, obviously playing in the back row as well. Now Gordon's back on the field.
So 26 points the difference, as you can see, bottom right-hand corner. As Michael Young goes to dummy half. Mitchell Sargent to the line and found a man running off his left. That's a great bust. They've got support players lining up. In fact, Hannon Laban, and there's a great tackle too. A superb tackle by Reece Pritchard, but Newcastle with good field position. They must score, they do. The Knights have arrived at last. The 20 puts it down, Joel Brown, and that has come 50 metres.
That's a great try from Newcastle, again, emanating from a break up the field. They attack Lukey Millwood on the fringe of the ruck, got the pass around him, and all you do is go to the line with numbers. They couldn't regroup the Newtown defence, and Luke Walsh had a field day just being selective with his passing to Joel Brown to score the easiest tries under the post. But again, very, very good attack on the fringes from Newcastle. That's what they need to do, is to identify the weaknesses in that Newtown defensive line after they've controlled the ball.
Scoreline looks a bit better now. Jacob Ling did well there too, running as a decoy for the eventual try scorer. So here's Uarte again. He has been excellent for Newcastle this afternoon. He is athletic, isn't he?
He is. He's a beauty.
Comes pounding back at you. Now Mitchell Sargent. This is where he needs to stand tall. A little bit of momentum there now for Newcastle. Player of his experience can play a major role as they continue with their fight back. Now from Young, ball away, and Newcastle a metre into Newtown side of halfway. To Arthur to play it. Now they go open side through Brown. Now this is Luke McDougall. McDougall's got speed to burn. He's beaten too, Luke McDougall. He's got support on the inside. A classic try to the Newcastle Knights. They're coming back strongly in this game. Referee Sutton awarding the try. Timona is the man that took the ball on the inside of McDougall. Well done to the Mad Pup, as they call him.
Once again on the fringes, Luke Walsh here spreading this ball around. Riley Brown takes that pass. Long ball to McDougall. Terrible attempted defence there from the Newtown number 3. Moves off at number 3 being Albert Hopewadi. Back inside then Luke Brannigan. McDougall very, very strong in his own right. Good support up the middle of the field. Had a choice of 2 or 3 men to pass to. Newcastle are back in this game, courtesy of some poor defence from the Newtown side.
One of those old cliches, game of 2 halves. That's the way it's working out. All Newtown in the first 40 and Newcastle dominating the second half. Certainly on the scoreboard anyway, so far as their point scoring goes. So 30-16. This is Hep Kale for Newtown in 17. Now Meredith, who got the first 4-pointer of the day. Luke Millwood a dummy half. 18 out from their own line. Caleb Deeb. Newcastle. They've got the wind in their sails now. They're moving up much quicker off the line, although ineffectively, it's got to be said on that occasion, as Deeb bounces out of 2 attempted tackles. But they've certainly got a spring in their step, the Knights. Mickey Payer now for the Jets, carrying 3 players upfield. McDougall gets him on the ground. Millwood at dummy half. He's moving in and playing out of acting half early in the set. And there's a kick for touch that'll see a scrum pack. Knights loose and feed Peter.
Yeah, that's a hard set of 6 then for Newtown. They did well to get out of that. The enthusiasm of the Newcastle defence is evident now. Obviously, as you say, Dave, they've got the spring in their step. Newtown really do have to play the game down this end of the park.
They do indeed. 5 on their own side of halfway. Now the hard yards as Newcastle try to set it up. Asa plays it back to Young. Now Mitchell Sargent. Good tackle, Deeb. Got it back to Walsh. They keep it alive. And now it comes out to the winger Uarte, who couldn't handle.
Just the mistake they didn't need, Newcastle. Newtown again with a little bit of an opportunity now on the halfway line to establish field position.
Lassini tackled by Joel Brown and Michael Young. Millwood flat pass to Meredith, who galloped onto it. Great tackle, Mitchell Sargent. Stood his ground and drove him back, and they get the football too.
Just what the doctor ordered for the Knights, and that's a play that Mitchell Sargent could have a turning point in this match. That tackle there could be a turning point.
Sargent gets to his feet gingerly. Knocked him about a bit. That was big body contact. So the Knights just a couple of metres on their own side of halfway. Through Luke Walsh. Out it comes. Open. Here's Luke McDougall again. Gets away from a would-be tackler. Found Uarte, who's dangerously close to that western touchline. Did well to stay in. Good tackle again by Reece Pritchard, the Newtown 4. He's been very strong defensively. The right centre for the Jets. Also Costigan getting in there. Now Young. Away to Taya. And certainly Newcastle have had the lion's share of possession in this second half. Early stages from Sargent out to Brown. Another chance for them through the man that scored the previous try, Timona. Nkwama, Walsh, Sargent. Stepping off his left foot, the big man. Tackled by Deeb. Now Young. Quick play the ball that time. Walsh, the kick off the right side of his boot. Pressure. It's been snatched out of the air by Byron Ford.
Yeah, but it's a penalty to Newcastle now. Another set of 6 right on the line here. And with 8 minutes to go, Newcastle still aren't out of this game.
Now another try here could make it a fascinating final 7 or 8 minutes. They'll be looking for Luke Walsh after a couple of settling runs. Brown popped a short ball. Knights 5 metres out from the Newtown line. Now this is the 14, hard and straight, Asa. Good defence, Newtown. Caleb Deeb throwing his body in the way. Now Walsh. The fullback comes flying in, Jacob Jenkinson.
That's a great tackle again by Pritchard on his own line.
Now Walsh to the line. Here's Mitchell Sargent. He hits and spins. But Newtown equal to the task. He'll get up and play it back to Young. Walsh will be looking for it. Got it now. Try time for Newcastle. The 11, Jacob Ling, will come up with a well-deserved try. And that scoreboard ticking over now.
It was the pressure that Newcastle needed to sustain on this line. Give Luke Walsh a little bit of an opportunity down here and he'll try and create something. He does it here. Good Ryan under. Mark Meredith then should have actually taken that tackle, ball and all. Didn't try. Tried the shoulder charge. Didn't work. And that's the danger of a shoulder charge on your own line.
Attempted conversion from Walsh to make it 8-point ball game. And successfully achieves that. 30-22. Okay, once again, let's go downstairs. Good afternoon, Ian Trent.
David, prior to half-time, Newtown hadn't conceded a try in a game and a half. So Newcastle coach Rick Stone must be pleased with the tries scored by the Knights in the second half here. But he certainly won't be pleased with the 26-0 scoreline against at the half-time break. This win cements the Jets in the New South Wales Cup top 4, and their next home game is the much-awaited, the big grudge match on the 14th of June against the North Sydney Bears here at Henson Park. Should be a beauty.
Thanks, Ian, and we'll hear from you just after full time. The Jets, the host club today, have asked me to thank their major sponsors, Bowlers Club of New South Wales, Peter Shamara as you watch Mitchell Sargent come downfield. Also SGE Credit Union, Newtown Jets Clothing Company, Blueprint Management Group and Label Craft. Newcastle, a kick through. Oh, a bit of complacency here. They're going to appeal for a try. Newcastle through Matt Burnham. No, says the referee. Another look at it, Peter Mulholland.
Great little kick again from Lukey Millwood. There's only a hair's breadth in this one. Geez, he was patient, this fullback, and oh, gee, I tell you what, with the advantage of a video replay, you might have found that being a try.
Yep, quite right. Now Meredith trying to steady the Newtown Jets. A solid charge. Another one from Mickey Payer. Look, Newcastle can't win. There isn't the time on the clock. They'd have to score twice anyway, but it has been a very credible comeback by them.
It has been, but don't forget Luke Brannigan scored 2 tries in 2 minutes in that last first half, so anything's possible. I just think Newtown have probably got too much experience here to allow this game to slip away now.
Now Hep Kale for Newtown. Wrestled to ground, will be asked to get up and play it back to Lukey Gordon. Caleb Deeb.
Hasn't he played well today? He has been in the centre of everything, played plenty of field time for the Newtown side, and again, a product of the Jim Beam Cup.
Yeah, he's been a battering ram. He's put his body on the line offensively and defensively. There's a kick a little too long by Newtown. It'll come back to the 20. Let's see what Newcastle have got now. This will be one of their last throws of the dice. Mitchell Sargent will play it back to Luke Walsh. Luke Walsh was a player on everyone's lips at about this time last year. When Andrew Johns announced his retirement, he was seen as the next big thing at the Knights, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think there's a bone of contention that he might be too small, but I really rate Luke Walsh. I think as he gets back from injuries, had a couple of bad injuries this 12 months, and as he gets back and his confidence back, I think he'll be back in the firing line for the Knights.
He can play all right, no doubt about that. Here he comes drifting across the park and picks up Brown, who in turn got it on the outside to Luke McDougall. He's been very strong, Luke McDougall, today, with limited opportunities, it's got to be said. Whenever he's got the football, he's caused havoc out there. Tamoina lost it. Newtown come up with it. And the winger Byron Ford told to play it. This is Sean Rudder.
The the Newcastle boys then I think thought it might have been a 2-on-1 strip, and they stood up and allowed that player to run an extra 10 or 15 metres.
Minute and a quarter remaining on the clock now. Newtown might fancy their chances of putting another one on the board. That's a powerhouse run. 3 players being dragged downfield. Across now to Luke Brannigan, who's had a fine game. This is Steve Meredith. Tackled by Louis Timona. From Gordon to Millwood. A kick in behind them, too long. So out of the 20 it comes. Michael Young, Brown, and the 17, Louis Timona. Big lad. Giant strider. Now the 11, Jacob Ling, who got a well-deserved try. There's that right-hand offload I was talking about earlier in the contest. He's capable of it. So it'll be Young at dummy half. Mitchell Sargent, he's tried really hard in the second half. The blonde front rower. Now Young. This is Joel Brown. Brown gaps them. He gets around the fullback Lassini, and Brown's going to come up with the last play of the day. Try to Newcastle. 30-26 kick to come. It's full time here.
That's well deserved from the young bloke too at the end of it, and the Knights have got to be pleased with the fact they kept trying right to that last second of the game. Riley Brown on the short side here with a little dummy. Goes to the line. I think the bell might have gone, and it's just around Meredith there. Found a front row forward with pretty heavy feet at this stage of the game, but showed a clean pair of heels to get round the fullback in Lassini. Another well-deserved try there for Joel Brown to finish off the scoring for the Newcastle Knights today.
He's got some pace, Brown. So all that remains now is this attempted conversion from Luke Walsh. You can see where he's operating from, a few metres in from the eastern touchline. There's the angle, looks beautiful over the black dot. 30 points to 28. This game is over. That is a big comeback. Well done to Newcastle. They showed plenty of ticker. Okay, let's check the score summary now. Newtown 30, tries to Meredith, Payer, Falau, Brannigan 2, Costigan, Millwood 3 from 6 with the boot. Newcastle 28, tries to Uarte, Brown 2, Timona and Ling, Walsh 4 from 5 with the boot.
Well, Luke, 30-28. At half-time it was 26-0. A little bit close for comfort.
Yeah, we went away from the game plan the second half. Blokes started doing their own thing and we just didn't play as a team. First half was good, but yeah, Matto's not going to be too happy.
I bet he won't be. What about your shoulder? You had that done last season when you were playing with Cabramatta. How's it faring?
Yeah, pec's good. I've come back really well for it, and I had the off-season with the Roosters, which really helped. So, yeah, it's pretty strong. I'm very confident.
And the Jets are really flying now, aren't they?
Yeah, we're going well. We've just got to start playing for 80 minutes, and I think when we do that, you know, we'll be very, very hard to beat.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Chatting with Luke Brannigan, who played well. Let's look at the results of the other games in the New South Wales Cup. Western Suburbs, big win over Cronulla. Wins to Windsor, the Central Coast, North Sydney and Wentworthville defeating Balmain Ride. Now a check of the competition ladder After 8 rounds, it's North Sydney on 16 ahead of Wentworthville, Newtown and Manly equal on 11 ahead of the Central Coast, Western Suburbs and Auckland, Peter.
And we look at the games for next Saturday, May 17th. Bulldogs versus Windsor, Cronulla versus Central Newcastle, and the North Sydney Bears take on the Central Coast Storm at North Sydney Oval.
Well, I do hope you've enjoyed the coverage on this week's New South Wales Rugby League program. The Newtown Jets scraping home in the end by 30 points to 28 over the visiting Central Newcastle Knights. We look forward to your company on next week's program when we do it all over again. Have a great week. Oh, from the base of the scrum, here's another try to Newtown. It's Mickey Payer. This time it comes out to Uarte. He is a speed machine. See you, fellas. Now Luke McDougall in pursuit, but Brannigan's going to get there. Well, that's an 80-metre effort by the Newtown Jets. But Newcastle with good field position. They must score, they do. Here he is again, Luke Brannigan. He's away, got a fortuitous bounce. Try number 2 coming up for the Jets 6. And Brown's going to come up with the last player.
We've been proud sponsors of the Newtown Jets for the last few years. We're here if you need us. Otherwise, stop the spread, stay safe, and buy membership today and keep the Jets flying.
It's the team that takes the view. It's the team that will not yield. Bluebacks in the crowd, they're roaring, flashing, dashing, blues are scoring. Newtown is coming. Here's the Bluebacks coming. Newtown.
Hashtag we are 8972. Hashtag keep the Jets flying. Keep safe, Blue Bags. We can't wait to see you on the other side.
Let's all get fit.